Alexander the Great, the conqueror of civilizations. Alexander the Great was born in 356 BCE in the ancient city of Pella, the capital of Macedonia. From a young age he was marked for greatness. His father, King Philip II, had already transformed Macedonia into a powerful kingdom. His mother, Olympias, told him he was descended from Achilles and Hercules. But it was his education under the great philosopher Aristotle that shaped his sharp mind and boundless curiosity. At just 20 years old, after the sudden assassination of his father, Alexander ascended to the throne. He immediately set about uniting the Greek city-states, some of which had rebelled. In a show of swift and ruthless strength, he destroyed the city of Thebes as a warning, sparing only temples and the poet Pindar's house. No one challenged him after that. But Alexander's true ambition was far beyond Greece. He set his sights on Persia, the largest empire in the world at the time. In 334 BCE, he crossed the Hellespont with about 35,000 troops and began his campaign of conquest. His first major victory came at the Battle of the Granicus River, where he led a daring cavalry charge straight into the heart of the Persian forces. Against the advice of his generals, he fought on the front lines and narrowly escaped death. This set the tone for the rest of his campaigns, bold, risky, but brilliant. In 333 BCE, at the Battle of Issus, Alexander faced the Persian king Darius III, who commanded a far larger army. Alexander used the terrain to his advantage and executed a devastating flanking maneuver, forcing Darius to flee the battlefield. The Persian king left behind his wife, mother, and children, all of whom Alexander treated with remarkable respect and dignity, earning admiration even from his enemies. One of his greatest tactical masterpieces came in 331 BCE at the Battle of Gaugamela. Vastly outnumbered, Alexander faced Darius once again in what was expected to be a Persian victory. But Alexander used a false retreat and diagonal cavalry attack to open a gap in the Persian lines. He charged through and once again forced Darius to flee. The Persian Empire, built over centuries, fell in a single day. As he moved across Asia, Alexander founded cities, spread Greek culture, and adopted elements of Persian customs, dressing in Persian robes and encouraging his men to marry local women. He was not just a conqueror, but a bridge between East and West. He entered Egypt without a fight and was welcomed as a liberator. In 331 BCE, he founded Alexandria, which would become one of the greatest cities of the ancient world, a center of learning and culture for centuries. But Alexander wasn't done. He marched eastward through the harsh deserts of Iran and the mountains of Central Asia. He tamed rebellious tribes, founded more cities, and pressed on to India. In 326 BCE, he fought the legendary Battle of the Hydaspes against King Porus, who fielded a massive army including war elephants. Despite the unfamiliar terrain and the terrifying sight of elephants, Alexander used clever tactics, diverting the river to cross it secretly at night, and won decisively. Impressed by Porus's bravery, he let him continue ruling as a vassal king. By then, his army had had enough. Exhausted and longing for home, they refused to go further. Reluctantly, Alexander turned back. On the return journey, he took a dangerous route through the Gedrosian Desert, losing thousands of men to heat and thirst, a decision still debated by historians. Finally, he reached Babylon and began planning a new campaign, possibly to conquer Arabia or even the western Mediterranean. But in 323 BCE, just before he could set out again, Alexander fell ill and died, suddenly and mysteriously, at the age of 32. In just over a decade, he had created one of the largest empires in history, stretching from Greece to Egypt and all the way to India. He never lost a single battle. Alexander's genius lay not just in his boldness, but in his strategic mind. He adapted his tactics to every enemy, used geography as a weapon, and understood the importance of morale and unity among his troops. His legacy lived on in the Hellenistic world, a fusion of Greek, Persian, Egyptian, and Indian cultures that influenced art, science, language, and politics for centuries. Alexander the Great, a military genius, a cultural bridge, and a timeless symbol of ambition without limits.